Yo, what's going on? Mike from Mike Talk Sports. The UFC is constantly trying to build up big stars to become even bigger stars, and this, of course, is going to happen at UFC 290 in Las Vegas on July 8th, Bo Nickal versus Tresean Gore. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down and analyzing this matchup in order to determine, does Tresean Gore actually have a chance against Bo Nickal? So both fighters, for not being top 20 middleweights in the UFC, are relatively big names. Of course, you have Bo Nickal, a very decorated superstar in the collegiate freestyle wrestling scene, as he absolutely dominated at Penn State, being one of the more notable wrestlers, American wrestlers, to ever come into the octagon and try MMA in the UFC. Then, of course, you have Tresean Gore, who had two really nice wins in the Ultimate Fighter Season 29. He somewhat crowned himself as the de facto champion of that Ultimate Fighter season, but of course we know that he's not the best fighter in the season, as Bryan Battle ended up beating Tresean Gore. First and foremost, in my opinion, for a guy to give Bo Nickal a significant amount of trouble, it's going to be a crafty veteran that simply has grappling techniques that are more indicative of MMA than they are of freestyle wrestling. And that's something that Bo Nickal hasn't exactly grasped yet, but that's not something that Tresean Gore is obviously going to have a significant advantage in, as Tresean Gore is very inexperienced. Both guys are very inexperienced, as Bo Nickal is only 4-0 in MMA and Tresean Gore is 4-2. So breaking down Tresean Gore, looking at his record a little bit, he lost his UFC debut to Bryan Battle, as I just mentioned. And this fight really is the main fight you want to look at when projecting how good of a grappler is Tresean Gore, because there are so many grappling sequences in this fight, and at a surface level you'd say, oh wow, Tresean Gore actually has some pretty offensively sound and oriented takedowns, as he landed 2 out of 3 takedowns on Bryan Battle. The thing is, Bryan Battle is a guy who's very hard to hold down, so he only had 1:16 of control time in this fight, and then Bryan Battle was consistently level changing and shooting takedowns on Tresean Gore, and Tresean Gore displayed really nice takedown defense in this fight. Bryan Battle ended up being 1 of 8 on takedowns in this fight. The thing is, here's the catch, guys. Tresean Gore is very good with his takedown defense. Thus far in his MMA career, in my opinion, he actually shows some really nice technique with his takedown defense in some nice sprawls. Once he hits the ground, though, he's not the biggest 185er in the world, and he really struggles to get back up to his feet. He somewhat gets caught on the ground. So for Bryan Battle to be only 1 of 8 on takedowns, but still have 3 minutes and 20 seconds of control time, yes, guys, you heard me correctly. Tresean Gore simply could not get back to his feet when Bryan Battle finally successfully shot a takedown and got it. Then in Gore's next fight, he got KO'd on the feet against Brundage. That was a pretty brutal knockout that he did suffer, and Brundage really followed up with those really nice ground and pound shots as well. And then in his last fight, Tresean Gore did bounce back in a really nice performance against Josh Fremd in a second round guillotine. Gore was consistently winning the grappling exchanges in this fight. Josh was 0 for 1 on takedowns, and that failed takedown attempt actually ended up being that guillotine that won Tresean Gore the fight, and that guillotine was super vicious, super tight on the neck of Josh. So really impressive guillotine win. But Gore was actually 3 of 4 on takedowns in this fight. And then you look at Bo Nickal, his first UFC performance in the limelight on a main card. To me, this performance more so left question marks about Bo Nickal's grappling in the UFC and in an MMA octagon. Then it did answer some questions. So of course, Bo Nickal ended up getting a takedown. It was a very controversial takedown. It seems as though he just could not get Jamie Pickett down. Jamie Pickett, a guy who's really struggled with his takedown defense. It seems as though Jamie Pickett really was doing a good job at fighting the takedowns. He arguably got kneed right in the balls. Jamie Pickett was like, what is going on? He got taken to the ground. And once the fight hit the ground, Bo Nickal ended up winning the fight via an arm triangle choke. But on the submission, he did not really show an incredible amount of technique. He more so powered through Jamie Pickett and ended up getting somewhat of a sloppy triangle choke. I believe Bo Nickal and Tresean Gore in the first round is going to be extremely high-paced and fast-paced with the grappling sequences. I think Bo Nickal, after that embarrassing kick he threw out against Jamie Pickett, isn't even going to risk risk the striking department in this fight. He's going to run right to Tresean Gore, try to clinch up with him up against the fence, and chain together a takedown, where I see Tresean Gore actually having a really nice ability to stuff a lot of early takedowns. The issue is Bo Nickal does have a nice gas tank from his collegiate wrestling days, and he's absolutely relentless with his grappling. I think Bo Nickal is very content with, after the fight, reading off the stats, 1 for 10 on takedowns for Bo Nickal, but with a submission victory or with a ground and pound victory. I think Bo Nickal, again, will not be discouraged by Tresean Gore's early ability to stuff the takedown in this fight. And once Tresean Gore stuffs the takedown, I do like his ability to separate from the clinch and land some nice hooks to the body and hooks to the head of Bo Nickal. But again, Bo Nickal is going to be consistently charging at Tresean Gore. So to answer the question of the video, does Tresean Gore have a shot in this fight? I absolutely do think he has a shot in this fight, but I don't think he wins. I think Bo Nickal ends up struggling in the first round to secure a takedown. He has a bit of takedowns, but Tresean Gore bounces back up to his feet. But in the second round, Bo Nickal is going to wear on Tresean Gore. He's going to land a really nice takedown. Tresean Gore, in his lack of ability to get back up to his feet after a nice takedown is landed, and Bo Nickal settles into half guard, he's going to transition into side control. I think Tresean Gore is going to end up sprawling. He's going to give Bo Nickal his back, and I think Bo Nickal is going to rear naked choke him after Tresean Gore gives him his back in order to try to get up. Thanks for listening to the video, guys. Let me know in the comment section below. Do you agree with my take that Bo Nickal somewhat struggles to land a takedown in this fight, but ends up doing so in the second round to secure himself a victory? Again, thanks for listening, guys.